Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, May 26th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are Page of Cups in its reversal, in combination with our 9 of Pentacles in its reversal. Let's go through it. All right, let's like, I feel like there's something about this Gemini new moon. The way I described it in the article that I wrote in Mystic Meditations earlier this week is, and it has to do, and I got to put it out, I got to explain it like this. And I was just talking about this before the podcast started. Gemini energy is all about, it's all about being dynamic. It's about being pragmatic. It's taking different approaches to things. But at the same time, there could be a little bit of work that's happening right now in relationality to working through the difference between pragmatism and fickleness. How do we identify and recognize the difference between pragmatism and fickleness? Pragmatism is the energetic focal point in relationality to what it is that we're trying to manifest. And this is why we talk about this. Gemini understand this very, very, like, with more acuteness than any other sign work, because it's the space. And this is why we talk about when we're building towards a manifestation, we don't say gimme, we say help me see, right? The ability of taking different approaches, the ability to be adaptable, like working towards the manifestations with a state of wonder in relationality to what you find on that journey. However, fickleness can often feel much more frustrating for those that are around it because fickleness is articulated by someone who is adaptable to such an extent that they're not necessarily adapting to be able to get something done. They're not like working through that flexibility that allows a manifestation goal to move towards something, but rather it can often be that energetic space of change for change's sake. Someone that isn't energetically consistent in what it is that they're trying to move towards. This is why we talked a lot, right? We talked a lot about the fact in Taurus season that the ability to find comfort in around ourselves is directly proportionate to how much discomfort we can navigate, because that ability of doing so shows the intention when we move away from something that is not based on discomfort, but more in the recognition of what feels like it's energetic alignment for us versus what is not. And that's why I also feel like I keep on getting this message that there's a little bit of this Gemini new moon that is all about releasing the audacity, is what I keep on hearing. It's about releasing the audacity to a certain extent, because when we see something in our lives that is too changeable, right? It can often create, this is how someone too much in a changeable space can create wounds, because if the only, like, I keep on hearing the difference between saying I change my approach versus I change my mind is the difference in discovering the energy that works towards something, right? Like that striving towards a manifestation goal that says, like, help me see what I need to adjust or accommodate within myself, right? It's that working on the self versus, and this is why I feel like this is coming up, the energy of Like when we move too much with us without a sense of where we're going, when we're just changing for the sake of change and we avoid uncomfortability, we sometimes see that that is like what fickleness looks like, because we avoid things that are uncomfortable until they're comfortable again, and then we come back to them, right? Like that is why I could potentially even see right now there's some energy across all of the frequencies working through the difference between, I keep on seeing the adaptability that allows for the ability of recognizing what's possible versus potentially observing those moments or those experiences where we move too much in a state of changeability that creates that I want to say that like creates those wounds in us, right? Because our fickleness can be very damaging. Now, one of the things I'm seeing right now, this is why I feel like there's a lot of emotional release that this new moon is bringing, particularly for energy and separation. As I mean, we mentioned, these are the chariot partnerships. And I see even now that for a lot of these chariot partnerships, moving with slowness towards one another, wishing that they could move quicker, but having a little bit of this slow and steady. They're letting Saturn do that work, right? It's the identification point that when we make haste in partnership, it often feels like we're utilizing each other as a means to an end. But when we move with consideration as it relates to another person's comfortability, it creates a lot of that ability to identify and recognize and heal things as one progresses. And so I keep on getting that a lot of the energy right now in separation, even as they're moving into partnership with one another, what are they doing? They're unpacking, and they're unpacking, and they're unpacking, and then they're unpacking a little bit more. There's a lot of this unpacking because something about the patience that the energy is recognizing in these partnerships is effectively and fundamentally potentially something that was incredibly important and missing in past relationship, right? Because that feeling of being pushed, right? I feel like there's a lot of this energy that's recognizing something about past relationships wherein they felt like they were being pushed in ways that they did not feel were comfortable, right? The ability to identify the unhealthy relationship, because it's the understanding that relationship is the place we go to change. And the supportive relationships are the ones that change us in ways that feel like we blossom. They allow us to feel like we're coming into ourselves versus those modalities of the relationships that we sometimes only recognize in hindsight when we start to build into the healthy relationship with someone that embraces our authenticity, that sees us and says, I wouldn't change a thing, that sometimes helps us identify and recognize those moments where a past counterpart wasn't necessarily moving towards us because they embodied or they loved what they saw, but more because they saw us as some kind of instrument in their own manifestation goal. And that can be in itself, when one recognizes that, that can bring up a lot of pain. I feel like there's a lot of energy right now in separation, building into authentic partnerships that are recognizing some fundamental aspect of feeling objectified in past relationship by specifically an energetic counterpart that was always, looking towards one with aversion, trying to move them and to change them in ways that they did not desire to. This brings us, and that's why I told you a lot, that's why I told you it feels like this energetic new moon is the energy of releasing the audacity, because this is potentially the audacity that is being recognized via the healthy, authentic connection that is starting to form. This brings us to a lot of the energy right now. The center card for today's spread, for the energy, this is the energy coming into divine union. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Lover's card in its reversal. And this is what we talk about here. Why is coming into healthy partnerships so triggering? Because you don't recognize the trauma you have with the unhealthy partnership until you're finally in a space that it's safe enough to recognize it. And this is why I see that I feel like there's a lot of emotional release that is happening right now. But I got it. And this is why I keep on hearing for like, you know, the emotional release that's happening right now for energy coming into divine union. It's just, it's working through. And I keep on seeing, even as you move away from an unhealthy relationship, if someone still tries to move towards you in the ways that articulate and define why something wasn't working in the first place, right? It's like it's seeing another's blind spot and feeling the wounds that often occur when we're not working carefully on ourselves, right? Like this is what we do. And this is why I hear so much of this energy deep within divine union. What is the energy deep within divine union doing? Boom. We've got here Wheel of Fortune in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Pentacles in its upright. Unpacking feelings, talking through a lot of, I keep on hearing, releasing past trauma, working through those blockages, working through those hurdles, because this is why we talk about the fact that healing is not linear. It's ongoing, because that ability to do that, the ability that we have to heal, is directly proportional to how much work we've done on the self. And often as we continue to heal, and this is just something that happens, it's not that like some wounds don't go away. Sometimes we recognize just how damaging they were, right? We carry those wounds with us. And even in the space, I keep on hearing the wounds are becoming acute, because they become acute because even though there's a lot around them, they're still there, right? We were talking about this yesterday. This is the message that Saturn brings as it transits. Because this is, I keep on hearing like Saturn transiting into Aries is kind of beautiful. And this is why I like it. There's resolution there. We've talked about the fact that Aries has a very complicated relationship with Saturn. You know, Aries are clock obsessed. Aries always worry that they don't have time. Aries often feel like they're trying to run from time. But that's why I feel like that transition point of Saturn moving to Aries is so beautiful, because what does Saturn moving into Aries say? We were talking about this yesterday. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm your friend. I'm your friend. Because even if you're experiencing pain now, what does Saturn say to us? I can't take that pain away. But if you come with me, if you just walk with me a little bit more, there is something I promise I can give you on that journey. And that is perspective, right? The ability to see something and to build into the context of perspective. That is the energetic blessing that Saturn brings. And often we see, like we've talked a lot about this. We talked a lot about this in the Hangman class that we recently had in the Tarot Church class library. We talked a lot about the fact that often the journey of the Aries is in the Fool energy when they start trying to run away from things. Right? I gotta go. It's like, I'm out of here, right? And then where do we find the Fool as they complete that cycle? I'm not going anywhere, right? It's the determination that we find in relationality to understanding and identifying what's energetically important to us. And that's not easy, right? And I feel like that's a lot of that. There's a lot of that communication happening. Now, continuing to get clarification between our Page of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify. Woo! Emperor in its reversal. Listen, I know there's a lot of reversals here, But I don't think this is a negative because, again, this is also a card that we typically ascribe and connect to Saturnine energy. That ability of, and I feel like this is the reason that this is also in its in it like upset, like in its reversal right now, is we're going through a Pluto retrograde. That's no small thing, right? That's working through old pain. That's unpacking stuff. That's like, I'm finally ready to open that box. Okay? It's like, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that type of work, right? And I keep on describing it though, like Pluto in retrograde. And I'm sure you might even be experiencing this. If you've been having like weird dreams lately, like if you're going to tell me, I've been seeing this with a lot of my clients, dreams that should be terrifying, but they're not. You know, I like to describe Pluto retrograde right now as kind of like going through a haunted house in the summertime, which is like, what is the song you hear? This used to scare me, right? Like this used to scare me, but now I'm ready to look at it. Now I'm ready to face it. You know, I found the energetic fortitude of the self, right? So, and this is what we do when we're in a space of healing. And we talk about this too. Some trauma we carry, it is not okay for us to just want to dive straight into something and try to start working to heal it if it's cut us to the quick, right? Sometimes we need time. Like this is what we talk about with nursing wounds. Everything, you know, everything is a question of working towards the readiness of the self. But I keep on seeing, this is why I keep on hearing hard but vulnerable conversations is how we heal something. Because the ability for us to feel open and vulnerable and have the energetic counterpart that doesn't say, how dare you, but instead says, thank you for sharing that with me. This is how we heal the wounds that we may have been carrying, particularly as it relates to building into the context of relationship where someone felt like they were trying to change us instead of wanting to get to know us deeper. For masculine and feminine in separation right now, these magician partnerships that I see that are coming into being, this is why I saw slow and steady, but even something about this slowness. What is happening in the space of slowness? They're feeling triggered. But are they reacting to the triggers? No. The ability to articulate upon our fears instead of working them out, right? Instead of running them through another person. This is what allows us the context by which we are able to recognize and identify what it is that we're trying to work on. And I like this because I keep on hearing the beauty of the energy and separation right now, building into these magician partnerships. What is the promise they're making to each other as they openly communicate upon their fears or their concerns? I will never keep you guessing as to what that is. I will never keep you wondering as to what I need from you. I will always articulate to you clearly exactly what it is that I seek from you so that I don't traumatize you in the process of trying to figure out what that is, feeling that need of having to suss something out instead of just being able to state it clearly. There's a lot of this energy that says, I will honor your time by being able to articulate and clearly communicate what my needs are, because by doing so, this is how we heal. While for masculine and feminine energy, and this is hard work, you know, I know that sounds easy, right? I know that sounds easy in theory. Like you can see it even here. Like this is the energy that says that's what we owe each other. And what are they saying to each other as they experience that? You're the first person that's ever said that to me. You are the first person that's ever respected me in that fashion, because when we are able to speak clearly, we articulate our respect for one another in that communication, right? I told you, we got Mars and Leo right now, right? It's like working through the honor of honor. When we honor each other's time, we communicate clearly so we don't waste one another's time. And even if it means that we have that hard time about coming into the space of communicating through fear, continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Lover's card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Cups in its reversal. And this is a lot of the work that we see that the energy coming into divine union is doing right now, specifically and particularly in relationality to unpacking or working through past trauma. Some things you cannot listen. This is what we talk about. We don't know what we carry to we're in a space of healthy healing in order to start doing that work. Our body protects us from it. Our unconscious mind will hold things back and be like, you can't have that right now. Now is not the time. Right? Now is not the time. But that's why we work into the context of finding energetic stability. Because when we finally hit that point of stability, what does the trauma say? Surprise, surprise. Hello, how are you? Right, there it is. It's you're finally ready to face it, right? But this is why sometimes when we work into this is why, and that's what's so difficult, because this is why we talk about navigating the shift. If you're too used to trauma and you come into your peace, it's not going to feel real, right? You have to come into being and understanding the reality that can exist where you don't need to be in such a space of feeling like you're fighting and flighting every moment of the day. But those moments, right? Like sometimes it comes back in waves, right? Sometimes you have those moments like woof, like surprise, surprise. Here comes the trauma. And then we don't, what do? We don't let ourselves get triggered by it. We allow ourselves to take a moment to feel the way we feel. This is why we practice. It's why we practice. You know the word I'm going to say. We practice not disassociation. We practice being able to separate our emotions from the reactivity of the self. We work into the context of identifying and recognizing the difference between how we feel in a moment versus how we energetically feel, right? Pluto in retrograde, guys. Pluto in retrograde. There's going to be a lot of these moments that feel like they come up. And they can feel bittersweet, right? They can work through a lot of the sadness. There's working through a lot of that pain. Like sometimes I keep on hearing, like when we work through that, it's the familiarity of the trauma that we carry that allows us to change our relationship to it, right? This is how this is how we move trauma into the space of sentiment. And it's not easy, right? Because I'm even seeing that, like, for a lot of the energy doing this work, recognizing the fact that they've got complicated feelings in relationality to spaces that cause trauma. Listen, if something was so all bad, it wouldn't cause trauma. You would move away from it. The problem with most trauma is that it's bittersweet, that there's some good stuff in there too. And that ability to like move something out of the space of something being traumatizing into sentimentality while still maintaining the perspective of what one knows is best for the self. This is also how we heal, because I can see even now that for a lot of the energy working on that space, talking through it, are they saying to one another they don't have feelings on the past? No, that's wild. It's talking through the energetic complication that traumatizing situations bring. And this is how I keep on seeing the difference between the energetic experiences of the past, where someone may have spoken about those things and another person says, how dare you, right? Working into the context of like working through the projection versus being able to hear what one is saying to one another, I keep on hearing, working through the symphony of self that says that ability to identify and recognize what that complication is. This is how we hold each other, because that is the embrace that says, I understand that too. and I am singing that with you. While for a lot of the energy, deep within divine union, clarification between the Lover's card in combination with our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. There's that Page of Pentacles in its reversal. We've been seeing, I feel like this Page of Pentacles has been coming up a bit right now. And a lot of it, you know, I think like this, I honestly like the Page of Pentacles in its reversal feels like a very Gemini card because it's at the heart of pragmatism, right? It's at the heart of pragmatism because, and this is what I like about Gemini energy. You know, Pisces can be like this too, which is, what are you going to do? It's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right? It has to do with an understanding that you don't dwell on things, right? You don't hold on to bitterness, because when you hold on to things that aren't good for you, you become those things, right? Like, this is why we talk about the fact that like bitterness is like the body's alarm bell being like, you got to drop this. This is not good for us. This is not good for us. Right? So that's our ability of working on that. And it doesn't mean that we don't have an energetic reason. But when we move the things that we feel bitterness towards into a space of healing, into a state of energetic conviction, into that beautiful space where we don't, and I keep on hearing a lot of the energy that is saying deep within divine union. And this is why I keep on hearing this, because you remember I talked about the fact that the energy deep within divine union is moving out of temperance into justice. And I keep on hearing that there's something about that message that says you can turn the other cheek, but you don't have to sit there getting slapped. That's what I keep on hearing. You can turn the other cheek, but you don't have to sit there and get slapped. You don't, compassion does not require one to be a doormat. That's why I keep on seeing that it has to do with observing audacity, which is the ability to say, like, to have compassion to things, but also to have compassion. And this is what I keep on hearing for the energy deep within divine union, which is the compassion for others is not exclusive to the compassion we hold to ourselves, right? It shouldn't feel like it is not putting us into a space where we don't find ourselves. It's identifying and recognizing the balance point between what we try to offer as energetic compassion versus what another demands of us. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, this is like I keep on hearing the energy working through that both with self and counterpart in order to articulate and identify the difference. Continuing to get clarification between our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Pentacles in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Yeah, I like it. We've got here, I love, here's the thing. I know everybody has this, like, there are certain cards that I know people have, like, kind of like touchy relationships with. Like, I know every time I drop the Tower, everyone's like, ah! Like, oh no! Or when I drop the Devil card, everyone's like, oh no! I'm like, all right, calm down, okay? And I feel like a lot of it is very similar when we see the Eight of Swords. Because, and I need to point this out, and I love to point this out when I'm teaching on this card, which is like, yeah, it looks scary. But is it? Is there a threat in this card? No, there isn't. I mean, there's definitely like a moment here of someone being like in a space. But I like to point out that I feel that the Eight of Swords for me, I mean, is effectively a conversation on what happens or how it can sometimes feel when we first start to learn to set healthy boundaries, which is you feel a little silly, right? You feel overly cautious, better safe, right? Better safe. And what happens in the moment that you start to lay those swords around the self? You don't know what you're doing, right? You don't know if it's working. You can't see anything, right? I don't know if it's doing anything, and then what do you start to hear? Take those boundaries down. And you go, who's saying that? And you suddenly start to understand what energy is for you versus what is not in the moment that you set the healthy boundary. Because the energy that is supportive and you state and articulate a boundary, what will you often hear? You have nothing to explain to me. I totally get it. What do you often hear when someone gets mad that you have boundaries? How dare you? How dare you? Right? The song you will hear as you lay healthy boundaries is how dare you, for energy that was in a space that they appreciated it before you had them. And that can be really painful, right? That can be very difficult as we navigate through situations or circumstances. But that ability of being able to ascertain and recognize that the compassion that we hold to others is not exclusive to the compassion that we hold to ourselves is often best exemplified when we have healthy standards and the energy that respects them versus those moments of another person who feels hostile that we carry them, right? So I feel like a lot of that work and being able to do that, this is what I meant about this being kind of a difficult, potentially triggering new moon for some, because it is the observational point. I'm seeing this for a lot of the energy deep within divine union and across all of the frequencies versus the appreciation of healthy boundaries and standards versus the energy that often comes in, like those moments where we recognize something is not for us because someone is upset that we have them in the first place. And this is sometimes why we can't even recognize some of the trauma that we come into. This is why sometimes, like when we're in too much of a traumatizing environment, we move away from energy that's best for us. Because those moments when we're not used to energy respecting us, right? An energy observing our wishes, an energy doing the things that we identify. This is why when we heal, we stop talking hyperbolically, because the difference between another person saying, I'm respecting your wishes and relationality, what you articulated, versus a person who's so much used to being in a space of trauma that they're just not used to others listening to anything they say, so they say anything, sometimes creates this moment of the wires being crossed. But this is why I see even now, I keep on hearing the message across the frequencies is healthy relationship does not require you to feel like you're dancing on eggshells or trying to like pry a message out of a nuance. It's just the space of being able to communicate and articulate clearly. But even, and again, often when like, that's why that trepidation, that anxiety that we build can often be so hard to let go of, because this is what I keep on hearing. It's like the sensitivity that occurs that allows us to say, and this is why I feel like there's a lot of work that's happening in Chiron, because when you're used to that, but you know it's not healthy, sometimes you don't heal from it, but you heal in the space that you stop perpetuating it. This is what we talk about when we talk about the journey of Chiron. Chiron was the wounded healer. Chiron was the healer who experienced a mortal wound and spent the rest of their life never healing it, but in the journey of trying to heal it, helping everyone else in the process. So I feel like there's a lot of the energy right now working through a lot of that trauma in that way. And it's never easy. It's painful. The feelings come back. The memory remains. But being able to do that work is also what's significant and important because it identifies the recognition of the trauma that creates an alter in the self, right? The energy that sometimes says, I couldn't take it anymore. And in that moment, the energy starts moving towards healing. This is why sometimes the energy, like the song we hear as we start to heal, is the moment that we say, I can't take it anymore. Because it's the energy that, again, like what has the higher self said? What made you feel that in order to be loved, you had to experience that level or degree of pain in the first place? Continuing to get clarification between our Emperor energy in its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards coming out to clarify. It's Gemini season. I'm not surprised. There's a lot of Gemini energy right now. We've got here the Strength card in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. So look at this. We've got all the boundary cards up today. These are the two cards I talk about in relationality to boundaries, right? And it's difficult because I just keep on hearing, and this is what I think is beautiful for some of these energies in separation. What are they doing right now in separation as they build into healthy connection? Are they pretending they don't have boundaries? No. They're articulating to each other what their boundaries are. Because again, what happens in healthy relationship? The ability to talk about what we're comfortable with versus what we're not. It's not the space that says I refuse to talk about something, but the ability to actually talk through why we've got boundaries in the first place, right? I just keep on seeing that this is the gift that these partners are giving each other even as they're coming together, because they're saying, I promise you, like, look at this pledge of commitment. I promise you, you're not going to have to walk on eggshells with me, right? Because what happens when we're not in a space of being self-aware, we enter relationships where we're too volatile, right? We're too angry all the time. We refuse to talk about it. We push others away, right? We work into a space of avoiding discomfort instead of doing the work that often we just talked about with Taurus season, right? The ability to navigate discomfort brings new levels of comfortability. You got to go through it, right? The only way out is through to the greener pasture. And this is the energy that's having those hard conversations sooner rather than later. These are challenging conversations and potentially even somewhat a little bit provocative. But this is the energy that looks to each other as they're building into connection and say, rest assured, you can provoke me and I will not project onto you, right? Because that ability of not becoming that's that moment that says that this is the energy that says, I'm just not here for comfortability. I'm just not coming into partnership for the goodies at the bottom of the box. I'm here to do the hard work too. Continuing to get clarification between our Six of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Page of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Five of Swords in its reversal. And that's why, like, this is the thing, like, this is what I keep on seeing for a lot of these chariot partnerships that are coming into divine union right now, right? This is where this is the energy that was under the false premise that when you enter partnership, like, happily ever after actually means, and then they started healing. Then they started actually doing the real work, right? The coming into partnership is not the happy ending. That's where the real work begins, because it helps us identify and recognize everything that we have yet to find within ourselves, that the healthy partnership helps us to be able to heal. And a lot of it has to do with working through a lot of unresolved feelings in the past. And that's why I just keep on seeing that this is not the energy that looks, I need to point this out. I want to show you guys this beautiful combination of cards we have for the energy coming into divine union right now. Is this the energy that says, oh my gosh, it's amazing, my person saved me? No, that's not what they're saying. They're saying through you, all things are possible, because through you, I see me. And this is why we have to be in a space of caring about ourselves when we heal. Because when we are coming into a space where we see the divine in the connection to the counterpart, but we do not believe in ourselves, right? We will see the counterpart that's for us, and we'll see them looking at us, and they'll say, you don't know me. Instead of looking through ourselves, through their eyes, and finding ourselves perfected in that gaze. So I just keep on seeing that this is a lot of the energy that's working through. This is what we talk about with alignment, This is the beautiful mystery of the fact that when we come into alignment, is it the work of the self? Is it the perfect person? This is what we talk about with harmony. Alignment is the divine sublime moment of the right person at the right time, at the right experience of personal readiness. We're never late for our journey. And for a lot of the energy understanding this is why they see their relationship as a miracle, because it is testament to how far they've come on their own healing journey to be able to find someone that can see them there and meet them there and help them move even further along that pathwork. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Pentacles in combination with our Eight of Swords in its upright. There's that, oh man, and this is the thing right now. We got double fives. Oh, geez. Double fives right now. And here's the thing with the double fives. It's not easy. Who told you it was going to be easy? Good things aren't easy. Good things aren't easy, but but working through, I keep on seeing, working through that, right? It's both the hardest and the easiest thing in the world, because it's like it becomes easy when you come into the space of being able to embody your vulnerability, right? It's like, it's easy, just be vulnerable. What? What? No, trauma says I can't do that, right? So it's working through that. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, I'm just identifying is doing some kind of work as it relates to recognizing and appreciating. I keep on hearing the honor of healthy partnership. The difference between being held, when we hold each other in honor, we hold ourselves in high esteem, which is the ability or the space of being able to recognize and identify what it feels like to be energetically appreciated, versus I keep on seeing those moments or situations or circumstances where it feels that another is taking advantage of us. And what does it often feel like when someone is taking advantage of us, right? It's moments where, again, someone is not in a space of being respective of our energetic boundaries. And I keep on hearing, if you're ever unsure about that, remember, healthy relationship is always respective to boundaries. And that ability of working through them, that ability of being, and I keep on hearing, the healthy boundaries that we set and the ability of another to honor them allows for the vulnerability to feel like one doesn't need them, right? It's in itself, it is an energetic paradox, right? Because the energy that honors them, it always feels like it is unnecessary. But in the moment that you have a boundary and another takes it personally and starts to push up against it and starts to be like, I keep on hearing, if someone bullies your boundary, right, it often immediately gives you the affirmation as to why you needed it in the first place, right? It's like it's someone else's audacity at the fact that you have a boundary is often the perfect reason that exemplifies why the boundary was there in the first place. So I keep on seeing that a lot of the energy working through that right now, this is having a different impact on the frequencies. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is why those conversations on boundaries feel like they are so important, because I see even now, I feel like there's a lot of those conversations that are being had in relationality to, I keep on hearing, working on the context of self that identifies the difference on something that you are working on, right? I need to point this out because this is really important. when we are working on something in the self, we recognize that we have boundaries there that we're working to take down, right? When we're working on the self, we're like, oh, there's a boundary there. No, 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 I don't want a boundary there. I don't want a boundary there. No, 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 that's got to go away, right? But it's hard. And this is why when we work towards self-improvement, we talk about where our boundaries are. Not, I need to stress this, not necessarily because we're saying to another to avoid them, but to tell someone that it's something that we're actively working on, right? To almost prepare them for any energetic resistance that they might find there, right? The ability of being self-aware is also understanding boundaries that you have that you're working on easing because you don't feel like they're energetically serving the self. Welcome to expansion. Versus, I keep on seeing a lot of the energy potentially in separation right now, talking about difficult situations wherein they feel like their energetic boundaries were violated in some way in past relationship, specifically and particularly in the context of discussing the forcefulness that it often feels interpolated in another person demanding changes in the self that one did not feel necessarily energetically that it was moving one closer to the self, but more the desire of what another person wanted from them. And this is often how we can recognize those moments that we aren't in alignment, because when we see counterpart that's trying to change us in ways that we ourselves don't want to embody in ourselves, we go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like this is not, we clearly want different things, right? And this is bringing us to a lot of the energy. But I keep on hearing that's why there's a lot of catharsis that may be coming through some of these new partnerships that are coming together. But it's heavy stuff. These are messy conversations. I told you, Pluto in retrograde. I wouldn't expect anything other than that. And the same that's happening right now for a lot of the energy coming into divine union. Articulating to each other boundaries that they found that the trauma created. And being like, I need your help. I need your help. I need your help here. Right? Because this is, again, it's sometimes, it is and this is the beauty of relationship. Do you see? We hold the healthy boundaries outside the self to see if we need them. Right? And then when we build into intimate relationships with one another, we show each other the boundaries internally and say, I'm working on this. I'm working on this. I've been chipping away at this wall for a while. I would love your help with it, right? Because it helps us understand the self-limiting beliefs. It helps us understand by the act of vulnerability, we allow another to come towards us, and then we can start to work on the things that we ourselves find difficult. So it's all about like working in that space. And I keep on hearing the irony and the audacity that those that honor boundaries, you then say, help me take them down, versus the energy that you have to have boundaries with saying, why do you have them up in the first place? Continuing to get clarification. I love that message. Between our strength card in its reversal in combination with our 9 of wands in its upright, in combination with our 5 of swords in its reversal. Can I have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Hierophant in its reversal. I keep on hearing the energy and separation. I'm sorry we have to move so slowly. Right? Perpetually apologizing for their boundaries. And what are they saying to each other? You don't have to apologize. Like I see the energy saying you have nothing to apologize for. You know? You don't have nothing to apologize for, because this is the energy that says, I understand. Because when we're in healthy partnership and we articulate our boundaries and another person says like, I get it. I'm going to honor them. I'm not gonna like, it's like I keep on seeing I keep on hearing, and this is the conversation that's happening, and saying, why did you need to tell me? I hear them saying, why did you need to tell me that? Why did you need to tell me something that should be self-evident? Is what I keep on hearing. What happened? Is what I keep on hearing. Why did you have to tell me not to do, why did you have to tell me not to do something that should have been self-evident? I just keep on hearing the energy that's going through that moment, that this is where a lot of that unpacking is beginning, right? It's working through the story as to why someone has to say something that another person says obviously to, but then says why. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Five of Cups in its upright. There's that Knight of Cups in its upright too. So for the lot of the, for the like, and this is like, I keep on hearing there's a lot of energy right now that has come so far on their healing journey, coming into divine union, that they're like, I keep on hearing they're apologizing for things they haven't done, because they're curbing the reactivity or the volatility that they feel so well, that even in the moment that like they're like, I shouldn't have said that, like even in the space of becoming self-corrective, like this is the energy that says to one another, hey, we're like, it's okay. Like, it's okay for us to have those moments. It's okay for us to have those. I keep on hearing, like, it's okay to have feelings so long as we're energetically communicating them. And that's what I keep on seeing is beautiful, because I almost hear the energy being like, whoa, I'm sorry, I slipped back there for a second, right? Because this is often what it feels like when we're energetically triggered. We forget where we are for a second. A lot of those old tendencies start to rise up to the surface, but then we catch ourselves, because I keep on hearing like the energy right now is working through the fact that healthy energy does not have profound consequences for minor slip-ups, is what I keep on hearing. It's like that in itself is the gift that the counterparts are giving these chariot partnerships, which is saying to each other, hey, mistakes are welcome here, because this is where we play. This is not where we energetically punish each other for not being perfect. For masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, it's working through the valuation point in how we approach things. And I keep on hearing it's the difference between courtesy and demands. Everything right now I'm hearing for a lot of the energy deep within divine union is, I keep on seeing it's like, this is why I told you it's injustice energy, because it's working through, I keep on hearing the difference between courtesy and demands, which is the difference that says, you know, it's coming into a space of asking something in a place of being energetically appreciative, versus those moments that another puts demands upon us. And so I keep on seeing that there's a little bit of this protectiveness that is coming through via the counterpart, because that ability, I keep on hearing the energy of the counterpart say, you're allowed to have boundaries too. That compassion, I just keep on hearing the message coming through. Compassion does not mean that you have to navigate or tolerate something that you feel another isn't being compassionate to you, because it's the appreciation. And I keep on hearing it's not selfish to ask for something that you yourself would give. That is the identification point in recognizing that compassion is navigated and mitigated with courtesy, right? That when we're able to give our compassion to spaces that require it, it's often met with a sense of that courtesy. It's met with that sense of appreciation, versus those places that feel like they create trauma around it, where it feels more like the space of the demand, right? Creates more of that space that feels like, that tries to like you. I keep on hearing the difference between choice and demand is what I keep on hearing. You have to versus I'd like to, things of that nature. Continuing to get clarification, final, and I feel like there's a lot of that work here, because I keep on hearing that via the connection to the counterpart that speaks towards the appreciation or the love that we hold to each other. When we talk to one another, we hold each other in that same embrace. So when we appreciate ourselves, we talk to others around us with that same sense of appreciation. But when we're too demanding on ourselves, we often tell on ourselves in the way we treat others, because it almost articulates like how we talk. I keep on hearing how we talk to ourselves within our own person. Final card for today's spread, between our Hierophant in its reversal in combination with our Knight of Cups. There's that Page of Swords in its reversal. And I keep on seeing that a lot of that work that we recognize and identify is, I keep on hearing, it's, and I almost hear, like, I got to point this out, and this is happening across all the frequencies. For the energy in separation, I keep on hearing the energy almost saying to one another, I tried and I did not succeed. Right? Like there's something kind of like, I feel like there's a lot of grief that is being released right now in separation. Because something about that, like something about another person saying to someone, like, why would you have to ask me that? Or why would you ever doubt that? Like being able to give each other some kind of like space of confidence in relationality to being able to unpack something. I almost keep on seeing that this is the energy that's really, really building into, like these relationships are already healing something. Because I almost hear the energy saying, you shouldn't have had to experience that, or that wasn't okay. And sometimes in the moment that we talk about something that happened and another person says, that wasn't okay, what we recognize is someone that says, I hold standards higher than that. That's not something that you can expect from me. And so again, it's working through. I told you, it's like this new moon in Gemini is being able to see some kind of audacity. It's like I see, like, and in the moment that someone says, that's not okay, you're able to see the audacity that often creates trauma in something that another person used to do all the time. like something like this, like it's a lot of that energy that it's like, I just keep on seeing like, you know, like this is why we sometimes say that healing, and this is why I keep on hearing Saturn being like, surprise, 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 surprise. Because here comes Saturn in Aries, which says, like, again, if you come with me, I guarantee I will give you something for this pain. What does Saturn say? I can't take it away. Saturn says, I'm sorry. I know, I wish I could. I can't take it away. But if you just come with me, just come with me. I will give you something. I will give you something that will help you, and it will be perspective. And I feel like that's beautiful, because I feel like there's a lot of these new partnerships right now. And the gift of the Magician partnerships is they're giving each other perspective. And even in that space, they're already helping to facilitate each other's healing from something that was moving them too far off alignment of the self. Now, for masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union, the same thing is happening. But this is the energy that's finally getting it, that when we say partnership will heal you, we don't mean it's going to be great. You're going to go into partnership and you're going to be great. You're going to be done. No. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. No, you sweet summer child. No. It does not mean partnership heals you. It means partnership shows you all that junk that you didn't know that you had to heal. Here comes Saturn. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. But it's again, what is the song we sing as we move towards perfect? I got work to do. I got my work cut out for me. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, what are we seeing that's happening right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union? This is a lot of that energy that is building into that protectiveness, particularly and especially as it relates. Like, this is the beauty of the healthy counterpart, which is often when we experience something that feels like it hurts us. And then we worry about the fact that we're maybe looking at it the wrong way. We're like, oh, is this my ego? Is this Is this is this my ego going off on the rails for a minute about this? Am I feeling hurt for no reason? What is the beauty of the healthy counterpart? Hey, right? You walk someone through something, you talk about it. And what is the gift of the healthy counterpart where you can work through some of those unresolved feelings? They either tell you like, yeah, I think you're getting a little too much in your head about that, right? It's a gift to the counterpart that sometimes says like, yeah, I think you gotta like, I think you're reading into something too deeply. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes it straightens our tie, gets us a little bit back into alignment, and sometimes they go, you got absolutely that's not okay, right? There's a bit more. I keep on hearing there's a lot of alignment that's coming through, right? It's helping us to understand, like helping us to see more clearly between what's between our ego versus our higher self. But I got to point this out because one thing I noticed as I was doing this reading is there's a card that's on the ground. So I want to address the card that's on the ground because, again, these things happen. I feel like it's important to the sake of the reading because, again, it's Gemini season. So I'm not surprised to see a little surprise card because Gemini season is very much like surprise, surprise. All right. There it is. Yep. It's the 8. It's the 8 of Pentacles in its reversal. I know, I got to tell you right now. Listen, we're coming out of a Mercury that was in Taurus and Saturn transiting. I was telling you guys all last week, it's feeling a little retrograde in here. Like, like we weren't going through a Mercury retrograde proper, but things from the past can come back up to the surface right now, right? Like a lot of old feelings. Like I'm just telling you, like this was like everything I kept on getting is like, this was, it wasn't a Mercury retrograde, but it felt very similar to it. Because it's like the emotional drag of energy, having to do something slower, but understanding that the slowness is necessary because of wisdom, right? And the thing is, like when you're moving, it's the space of understanding that when you're doing something in wisdom, it often feels unnecessary. But that's why it's wise. Is what I keep on hearing. If you were like worrying about something and it's like no big deal, exactly. I know it's a little hard to explain, but it's working into that context of, I keep on seeing, that space of coming into the identification point that when we're moving with care, we don't move with care due to the fact that everything we experience comes into that space of feeling like it's energetically valid, but it's the ability of recognizing and identifying what feels, I keep on seeing, how do I explain this? It's working through, I keep on hearing, it's like the better safe than sorry type of energy that we often experience when we set healthy boundaries, that we often find evidence only in the minute that we hit volatility for having them, right? It's like it's working through the irony of that, right? It's like when you don't need them, they feel unnecessary. And when you do need them, it's often because someone is articulating about how unnecessary they are. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, especially with the Page of Wands in its upright. I feel like there's a lot of this work that we see right now that is helpful via the space of being able to articulate emotions clearly, right? And we talk a lot about this because we've talked about the fact that healthy, hard conversations do not create trauma. Hard conversations don't create trauma. The only thing that creates trauma is confusion. This is what we often see. And it's often in that space of recognizing and identifying things that are energetically confusing. This is why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy that's trying to heal, the problem with some of the trauma is they go through those moments and they're like, I'll never know what was happening. Why won't you ever know? Because I tried to talk to someone about it, and instead of getting logic, what did you get? More trauma, right? Like, that's the problem. And often this is why it's so difficult to move away from traumatizing situations, because you say to yourself, you convince yourself, if I just reach in there deep enough, if I just reach into the trauma deep enough, I'm sure I'll pull some logic out. Maybe not. Like, maybe not. Maybe not, because again, if there was logic behind the trauma, it wouldn't be trauma in the first place. This is why I keep on hearing, like, the message that comes through all the frequencies is confusion can be your closure, right? If someone is not making sense and you ask for clarity and they give you something that makes even less sense, right? There's no getting to the bottom of it. It's just that space that you often feel like your wheels are spinning, because you're like, this is not going anywhere. It just gets more and more energetically confusing. But it's difficult because at those moments, sometimes this is the energy that feels like clarity was dangled before them, right? Like, there's like almost like the energy being like, if you stick around a little longer, I'll let you know what's in my brain. Wouldn't you like to know what's in my brain? It's like, I see some kind of relationships where somebody's like dangling the possibility of finally being clear about what their intentions are. Like, aren't you hungry for this? Wouldn't you like to know what was going on the whole time? And I see the energy being like, no, like, no. Not really, because it's in the moment that it feels like someone has the opportunity to create clarity, and they start dangling it like a little treat instead of the consistent thing that should be there all the time. Here's a little bit of sense, just to treat you, something that makes logical. Wouldn't you like this? Like, I see the energy being like sense should not be a little treat. It should just make sense all the time, is what I keep on hearing. Well, and this is something that's happening across all of the frequencies. Why? Because the energy right now that's coming into Divine Union, they're making sense out of a lot of confusion situations and being like, yeah, I stayed there way too long. I stayed there way too long. I let the confusion get to me. And this is the energy that feels the breath of air in building with. Again, it's not that we're perfect, but we do our best to make the most sense. And we do that for the sake of the gift we give our counterpart by trying to be clear with our intentions. And then for a lot of the energy deep within Divine Union, I keep on hearing, when you're not worrying so much, like I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within Divine Union, the thing about it is I almost hear the energy deep within Divine Union being like, things that are confusing are childish. I literally see some energy deep within Divine Union that's like just in that space of saying there's a clear understanding of it. That's child behavior, because children, I keep on hearing, like, children don't have to make sense, because when you're operating from a place of when you're moving just based off your ego, you often don't make any sense, because you're just doing what feels good. And then you're trying to come up with a reason to validate what you're doing. And I keep on hearing intentionality is not being validated on what feels good. Intentionality is often the opposite. It's having to do the hard thing and talking about what's difficult about it. I keep on hearing, you can't backload reason into something that you can't backload reason onto a whim. That's what I keep on hearing. That is very interesting about it. I keep on hearing someone say you can't backload reason onto a whim, but it's because it's the identification point in recognizing that logic, I keep on hearing it's a difference between a rainbow and a kite, which is like logic is you can follow a logical progression of something, whereas like And this is a continuation of what I talked about with the difference between Gemini and energy, changing for the sake of change versus being dynamic, trying to get somewhere, which is like the articulation point of understanding another's reason in why one switches gears, right? Often you can tell the difference between energy that's pragmatic and energy that's fickle because you can follow the logic of someone that is switching like boom 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 boom, like you can follow the logic in terms of where someone's going, even if it's fast, it's syncopation, versus the energy that's like a kite, which is just like following inclination, where someone's doing a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense and then just like trying to stick a reason to it. Oh, Gemini, I love you. I love this energy. It's very complicated. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I'll never DM you, I'll never PM you, I'll never slide into your inbox and tell you I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site, so I would encourage you to do it there. Couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the death card. We will be doing our next class on Wednesday, June 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I will be doing my best to give you an update and recap on everything we've studied thus far prior to beginning that next class. But if you wanted to do so, now's a great time to join because you'd have about 2 classes each week leading up until the next class. It's a great time to catch up if you wanted to catch up. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we are learning or have studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 14 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You will also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me that you can choose to receive, wherein I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do with these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining our classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to any giveaways or new offerings. Speaking of offerings, on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these on an individual level or as a series. I would encourage, if you purchase the series, that you start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.